Hi, I'm Emily and I make videos about minimalism, organisation and family life. Although lately I seem to be making videos about toys. As you can see, toys are not an area of minimalism for us. However, we do rotate, so you'll never see something like this all out at once. Today I'm going to be starting my toy review series. I'm going to be looking at the brands of which we own the most toys and examining the pros and the cons. We are starting today with Qtoys. Qtoys is an Australian wooden toy brand. They pride themselves on being ethical and sustainable, and they produce a wide range of toys that involves both open-ended and more Montessori style items. Some of the toys that Qtoys makes includes things like the Poundable Tower with balls that go down the top, a wide variety of puzzles, some more Montessori specific activities. This is the Montessori sliding rings, just in there. And as well as that, they also have a range of trays in different arrangements and sizes. And they also produce furniture, but we don't own any of that, so I'm not going to be reviewing it. I'm going to start with the positive aspects of this brand. This brand uses some beautiful wood. So as you can see, even with the painted options like this alphabet puzzle, the wood grain is showing through the colors in a really nice way. It keeps it really simple. It's a nice chunky piece of wood, but the pieces themselves are not massive. There are a couple of puzzles in their range that are a lot bigger, like their solar system puzzle, and I think they do a human anatomy one as well. However, I don't think we'll be getting those because they're probably just a bit big for the space that we have available to store them. They also have some very clever designs to go with the beauty of the wood grain. So for example, they have the bead box activity, which contains a range of coloured beads and the usual sort of threading string, but they've made this quite simple for young children by just doing really simple things by putting just a tube over the end of the thread, but even beyond that, starting out with stick threading. So this is something that you'd be more likely to see in a Montessori environment where a child is able to hold the stick and thread the beads on and then cap that at the end with another bead. It just makes it a little bit easier. So they've really thought about some of their designs quite carefully, as well as the quite specific closed-ended activities that are more aligned to Montessori, such as the threading, things like the circle puzzle. They have some really open-ended items as well. This is the stacking and nesting puzzle. As you can see, you've got quite big puzzle pieces that can also be used to stack upside down. You can put things in them. We've used them in sensory bins before because you can fill them up. They've got the different ranges of shaded color. So there's a lot going on there and a lot of different ways that you could use a toy like this. It's specifically called a puzzle, but yeah, I don't know whether I'd really consider it a puzzle or not. Within the puzzle range, you have some more basic puzzles like alphabets and numbers. You've got more specific ones. That circle one back there is probably my favorite and the most particularly aligned to Montessori because there's only one element of differentiation, which is size. These other two puzzles, which are, labeled as or marketed as Montessori, are pretty good. You've got one that is height-based and one that is width-based. However, they also employ gradients of color. So there is a little bit more of a variable happening there than just one thing that the child is sorting by. But again, really beautiful puzzles, great starting points, simple puzzles. I did originally have a bunch of Melissa and Doug puzzles, but we have sold those off because they're just insanely busy. I really like the beauty and simplicity of pieces like this, and we have been collecting the Qtoys puzzles for that reason. Another item that's a real favourite, particularly of mine, is this. This is one of, a bit of hair in it, one of 3 stacking trays that in different sizes with handles on the end. These are absolutely perfect for presenting Montessori activities. They're really sturdy, but they're also really light, so Violet can lift them off the shelf herself and put an activity on the floor or on the table. And yeah, cannot speak highly enough of those. They also have another set of trays that comes with varying compartments, which I don't have, but I would consider buying in the future. That brings me to the negative aspect of Qtoys. So despite having some really amazing designs, there are definitely some flaws in some of Qtoys' designs. The main one that we've noticed is this. So this is the Poundable Tower. It's really popular. It's often sold out on all the Australian websites. So you push or hammer the ball through. And what would happen when we bought it is the balls would actually slide back in along this bottom level. So my husband had to make a little insert because Violet, as you know, a very young toddler, not even a toddler, a baby when we started this one, the balls would go back in and she wouldn't be able to get them out and would get very, very frustrated. You'd have to tip the whole tower over, which is not ideal. So sometimes I find that Qtoys don't think things through as thoroughly as they might. This doesn't mean that this isn't a good toy. It's a really good toy, but it could be a little bit better. And it's weird that I feel like it's weird that they didn't have that product tested and highlight that at the start. Another negative, which is not a big deal, when you shop for Qtoys, you'll find that it's almost impossible to see the dimensions of any of the products on their website or on the websites of any of the toy stores that sell them. So, for example, the Rainmaker, which is standing up the back behind the shapes puzzle, when that arrived, I was a bit shocked at how big it is. It's meant for sort of babies to roll along the floor, but it's actually, you know, a decent size, which is quite large for a small baby. And the more recent experience we had with the size issue is this. This is the Qtoys lock and latch board. Great toy. It has a bunch of different locks and latches, but I did not realize it was going to be this big. I could not find the dimensions of it anywhere, and I was like, I'll just take a gamble and buy it. It's way too big. It takes up half the shelf, and it's actually too big for the storage area that we have, this kind of thing. So sadly, I'm going to have to sell this on. This one does allow me to highlight another slight issue with Qtoys, which is just little details in the finishing. So for example, this latch board is beautiful wood, all the heavy duty metal locks and latches, and then it's got this crappy plastic padlock in a really ugly bright yellow to go with it. I mean, it would have cost them nothing to put a nice little silver metal padlock on there, but they've just kind of gone for a bit of a cheap finish on it. And often I find when I look at the edges or at some of the puzzle pieces, you'll often see that there's a little splash of varnish or glue that has been spilt on the toys. It's not usually overly noticeable, but it's enough to sort of capture attention if you're looking at something closely, which, you know, these are not hugely expensive toys in the wooden toy world. There are certainly way more investment style pieces that you can buy, but you're not exactly paying Kmart prices either. So sometimes that's a little bit annoying. Another example of that is this bead tray. I'm just going to tip the beads out. When I got this, I was like, yes, great tray for setting up Montessori activities, brilliant. But there's so much spilled glue on the inside of this tray that it's really unattractive. It looks messy and it looks cheap. And it wasn't cheap. I think I probably paid about $40 for this bead sorting activity. The activity itself is fine, but they just need to be watching their attention to detail a little bit more. And that is the case for a lot of the pieces. It doesn't mean I'm going to stop buying them, but it is slightly irritating. Occasionally though, you will get one piece that is more than just a bit of spilt glue. When this stacking and nesting puzzle arrived, the green pieces were all chipped and flaking. Luckily the toy shop, which was Lucas Loves Cars, replaced the green triangles for me really, really quickly. And we have also had a similar issue with this. This is the stacking peg puzzle. Really good design. I love the board. It's got the different colors and shapes, fantastic. The board itself is made of the same quality wood. I don't know what type of wood it is as the other pieces, but the pegs are shoddy. They seem to be a different wood. They're chipped, they're scuffed. They look like they're painted by a child, to be honest. So I am in contact with the toy shop where I bought this one, which was Jack and Willow, and they are onto it to sort it out. All the toy shops that sell these products are great, and I think that if you do happen to receive one that isn't finished to an acceptable standard, that if you do respond to them and not complain, but make it clear that that's not what you would expect from a new product, you know, I haven't had any issues in doing that, and I would expect that they would follow through and contact Qtoys and get a little bit of quality control happening here. So from a price point, Qtoys range from maybe about $30 for the smaller puzzles. I think these are about $29 or so, up to, I think the ball tower is about $70, and the set of trays is probably the most expensive thing that we own from this brand at about $80. A lot of the wooden toy stores that stock these will have opening discounts, which you can take advantage of, and they're great. It seems to be a little harder to buy from the Qtoys website directly, and they often seem to be out of stock. So I would recommend trying some of the other Australian wooden toy websites as well. There's a really great Facebook group devoted to wooden toy discounts that is often a really good place to start. Overall, we really enjoy our Qtoys product. We think they're a fantastic entry-level brand into the wooden toy market. If you're looking for something that's a little bit beyond Kmart and Target, something that's perhaps a little bit more ethically and sustainably made, something that is Australian owned, and something that provides a little bit more scope for that Montessori style of learning, or even a bit of an entry into the open-ended toys with items like this. As much as I hope that Qtoys could perhaps take a look at their quality control procedures, I will be purchasing from them in the future. I'm really happy with what we've got. They've been great learning experience toys, and a lot of them will continue to grow with Violet as she gets older and becomes more highly skilled. I also think that something like the alphabet puzzle is a really good alternative to the more expensive end of things, which would be something like the Treasures from Jennifer alphabet puzzle, which is about 300 Australian dollars. And for me, I don't mind spending a decent amount on an open-ended toy that's going to last for years, but for something that has a finite life with a child, like an alphabet puzzle, they are going to get tired of it at some point over the next few years. Something that's about $40 and is really sturdy, well made, attractive, and not overly garish is a perfect introduction. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have any comments or questions about the brand, or any suggestions for other brands that I should review, please leave them in the comments below. Otherwise, I will see you next time. Bye.
Thanks so much for watching. Please click the thumbs up and subscribe for more videos on minimalism, organisation and family life and toys. See you next time.